a non-dual New Year's message. Non-duality being the label that I can use here, talking about recognizing or waking up or illumining that there are not two here. Non-dual, not two beings, one seamless whole in flux. Presenting as this, only ever this. And the New Year's message that comes with that is that we don't need to operate on a yearly reset. And I'm not knocking New Year's celebrations. Woo, let's do it. But I'm saying that we could do this, and die with every breath out. Die to the idea of who we are, concepts, beliefs, positions, judgments, opinions, identity. Gone. Breathe in. What's here now? Without any of that. Don't pick it up. Breathe in. Newborn. Breathe out. Leave it behind. Each apparent moment presents as what it is. And if we don't add anything to that, you'll find that it's quite gorgeous. Because at adding, dragging the past into this moment or projecting the future into this moment, he's using imagination, and therefore we miss the moment. A lot of people live their lives in the past and future. We can let go of all that, and we can cultivate a death and a rebirth in every breath, every apparent moment. I say apparent moment because time isn't moving on a track like a train coming and disappearing. It's unfolding like a flower blooming. If that's how we want to use the label time, which is just a way of the mind to understand what's going on. Same with space. So without adding anything to this moment, without garnishing it with ketchup, mustard, onions, pickles, relish, sauerkraut, whatever, we leave it bare, plain, unvarnished. We don't add any mind stuff to it. And we experience, okay, what is it like to be completely empty? And if your mind is popping thoughts up, let them pass as well without grabbing a hold of them. Because they're like helium balloons. If you grab one, it's going to carry you away into a story. So to be born again in every apparent moment, let's say a moment lasts, a tenth of a second, woof, we leave it all behind. And then what are we? We're not separate from that. And we can be in that moment without any kind of expectation of how the moment should be. There's no need to then process it and resist it and say, this isn't what I wanted. And then we can be fluid and be in that state of flow. Much like, an athlete or an artist would be when they're at the peak moment. We can be in that same peak state of flow while we're doing the dishes or walking the dog or folding sheets, chopping wood, carrying water. Like in Zen, it said, when walking, just walk. When sitting, just sit. Above all, don't wobble. And the wobbling would be the mind. Whatever it is that's going on right now, whatever that's happening, that's all that's happening. That's where we place our focus and attention. If we're washing the dishes, that's all we're doing. If we're driving, and you've all had the experience when you're driving, or even if you're a passenger in a vehicle, that some time passes and you don't realize, oh, how did I get here? It's because you checked out and you entered the world of imagination. And that is a beautiful, imagination is a wonderful power. It's a wonderful tool when it's being used in the correct way. But if it's using us, if it's compulsively creating stories about how things should have been different, or why did I do this? So it can be a beautiful tool to imagine. That's more like being a visionary than it is being used by the imagination. If you're walking across the street and you're not paying attention because you're on your cell phone, you're looking at it, and the car honks at you, it takes a moment to come back to this moment. And that's why we freeze. Oh, but if you're completely in tune with what's happening, just this, nothing added, then one can flow much easier because everything is laid bare in front of us. And then we can be whatever the moment requires with no resistance. So much like there's a celebration on New Year's Eve because we're hitting the reset button, woohoo! Then we can have a celebration in every instant, hitting that reset button, so to speak. Not dragging the past into the present, not dragging the future back or coming into the present, leaving those alone. Being what this moment is asking for. Most of the time, it's not asking for anything. Actions are just happening. So I'll read a short poem from Take Heart Seeker. And it is called In This Moment. And it kind of speaks to what we're discussing here, this monologue, consciousness speaking to consciousness about consciousness. In this moment. In this moment, I am not answering to a name or recalling an identity, referring to the past or imagining a future, looking for or shunning any experience, seeking to understand or be understood, ignoring or embracing sensations. In this moment, all seeking ends. In this moment, I am. That last line is a little clue. In this moment, I am. Period. Full stop. Not I am hopeful. I am scared. I am happy. I am sad. No, I am. Without adding anything, I exist. Here, now, without story. Dozens and dozens and dozens of poems are on beingwalter.com. You can hear me read them, or you can read them for yourself, or you can read along. And they are full of pointers pointing to the same. They're speaking about the same thing all the time, but they're just speaking in different ways. and they're there for free, just as a service. And they were written by me to help clarify the understanding of what we're speaking of here for me. And they work for that purpose, but they also can work for others as well. So I'll say Happy New Year, or I can also say Happy New Instant.